It has been 7 years since the name Chris Watts became tied to one of the most shocking betrayals in modern history. The courtroom is empty, the files are closed, and Chris sits behind prison walls, his fate sealed. Yet his story refuses to fade. It still echoes through documentaries, podcasts, and late-night conversations. His wife Shannon's cheerful Facebook videos still autoplay on random screens, while old body cam clips are studied again and again by people who can't look away. Why does this tragedy still hold people's attention long after the verdict? Maybe because what we know feels incomplete. Beneath the surface of this tragedy lie doubts, contradictions, and missing pieces. There were shifting stories, warning signs that went unseen, and family problems that ran deeper than anyone imagined. Some believe not everything has been uncovered. These whispers keep the case alive, reminding everyone that maybe the full truth never came out. To really understand, we have to go back, before the crime, before the headlines, to a home built on appearances. Shannon Watts carefully crafted her family's image for the world. Her Facebook page showed smiling faces, matching outfits, happy dances, and birthday celebrations. She worked hard to show love, stability, and hope. Her videos were not fake. They were her way of holding her world together. She was proud, driven, and full of energy. In those clips, her husband often appeared in the background, quiet, polite, smiling softly when she spoke. Viewers saw a shy man who supported his confident wife. But looking back, people now see something else: distance, stiffness, and eyes that seemed far away. That's the strange truth about social media. It can show happiness, but never the whole picture. Behind the cheerful posts, the Watts family was struggling. Money was tight. Their beautiful house in Colorado, the cars, and the image of success were built on loans and overdue bills. Bankruptcy loomed like a storm. Yet online, Shannon kept posting positivity. The more pressure built up, the brighter her posts became, as if she could hide reality with optimism. Her health was another heavy burden. She suffered from lupus, a painful autoimmune disease that drained her strength. Still, she ran her business, raised her daughters, and smiled through exhaustion. Each post was a victory against illness, but also a silent cry for understanding. Then came family conflict. Shannon's relationship with Chris's parents, especially his mother, was filled with tension. Arguments about the children and respect created lasting wounds. Chris rarely spoke up. He stayed silent, unwilling to take sides. That silence created a wall between him and his wife. In private messages, Shannon shared her fears with friends. She said she felt alone, that her husband was drifting away, that she didn't recognize him anymore. Yet to the world, she kept up the image of perfection, smiling while breaking inside. And behind that silence, Chris was changing. He began working out, losing weight, dressing differently. He said it was self-improvement, but it was really the start of secret life. He met another woman, began hiding messages, deleting conversations, and creating a version of himself that didn't include his wife or children. This quiet transformation revealed something darker: a man living two lives. At home, he played the part of a father and husband. In private, he dreamed of freedom, of starting fresh. That secret identity grew stronger until it replaced the life he already had. Chris wasn't the kind of person anyone expected to commit a monstrous act. He was calm, friendly, and ordinary. That's what makes this story so haunting. Evil didn't look like a villain here. It looked like a neighbor. While Chris drifted away, Shannon kept fighting. Despite illness, pregnancy, and emotional pain, she refused to give up. She smiled through her fatigue, filmed family moments, and tried to rebuild what was falling apart. But her messages told a different story, one of loneliness, fear, and heartbreak. She begged for honesty, for answers that never came. Chris grew colder, quieter, and distant. In those final weeks, Shannon carried more than a baby. She carried the weight of a dying marriage and the silence of a husband who had already emotionally left. When she disappeared in August 2018, police arrived at their Colorado home. The body cam footage from that day became infamous. Chris stood outside, speaking calmly, explaining things as if nothing was wrong. His voice was steady, his face expressionless. That calmness disturbed everyone who watched it later. It wasn't peace, it was emptiness. Inside the interrogation room, that same emptiness stayed. Detectives pressed him with questions, circling around his lies. He folded his arms, avoided eye contact, and tried to stay composed. He created small stories, excuses that didn't fit. The tension built until his father entered the room. In that moment, his mask cracked. He whispered partial truths, but still tried to protect himself. The man who once appeared ordinary revealed something terrifying. That behind every fake smile and quiet word was a darkness no one had seen coming. Years later, the case still fascinates people, not because of the horror alone, but because of what it says about human nature. It shows how easy it is to hide behind pictures, how love can turn into silence, and how an ordinary man can become a stranger inside his own home. Shannon Watts lived her final days still believing she could fix what was broken. Her greatest tragedy was that she fought alone. The Watts family story isn't just about murder. It's about the danger of pretending everything is fine, about the masks people wear, and the invisible cracks that can destroy even the happiest-looking lives. Chris's voice trembled as he finally spoke, his words short, cold, and careful. Even while confessing, he tried to stay in control. Across from him sat his father, silent, shattered, watching his own son reveal a darkness he could not understand. That moment became one of the most painful images in the entire case. A father hearing the unthinkable from the child he once taught right from wrong. Even then, Chris twisted his story. He blamed Shannon, the woman he had already hurt, saying she was the one who harmed their children. That lie was his final cruelty, rewriting her memory to make himself look less monstrous. Investigators saw through it. They had seen people like him before, ones who tried to protect their image even after destroying everything. The real horror of the Watts story went beyond the crime scene. It lived in the lies, in the silence of a father, in the way truth was reshaped until nothing real remained. The trial didn't just end a marriage, it shattered two families. Shannon's parents carried unbearable pain, sitting through reports, photographs, and words no one should ever hear. Their daughter and grandchildren were gone, and no punishment could bring peace. Across the courtroom sat Chris's parents, also grieving but differently. They had lost their grandchildren and the son they thought they knew. Their pain came with shame, confusion, and disbelief. One side fought to protect Shannon's name. The other tried to remember their boy without seeing the monster he had become. It wasn't just a legal battle. It was a fight over memory. When the story hit the news, it spread like fire. The case is closed, but the questions never stopped. Subscribe for more true crime stories that refuse to fade.